Hey guys, it's Daniel, a licensed therapist. So it's no secret that in this day and age, men are struggling.
Some Ting Wong.
And there's a whole list of reasons why. And did you know that your guy, therapists, are actually on that list? I made a video about it here. But what's the reason why men are struggling? Well, who knows? Maybe it's our shrinking taints because of the microplastics.
At least this class of chemicals, which we know lower testosterone, alter the development of these boys.
You know, I didn't even know I had a taint, let alone that it was shrinking because of microplastics. Maybe it's helicopter parenting, maybe it's participation trophies, maybe it's culture when we demonize the straight white man, or maybe it's because you didn't like and subscribe to this channel. You should probably do that. Maybe it's social media, video games, pornography, big pharma.
Our pets' heads are falling off!
Guys, the list is insane, but is there an addition to this list? Women and feminism? Say it ain't so. Well, let's get into this clip and see if women deserve to be on the list.
Flo and I are all about the description, not the prescription. What we're trying to explain to people is that as we go forward, there's a small group of men who have a ridiculous access to women because of social media, and a large group of men who have no access at all. And because those men don't have access, you see angrier and angrier groups of men. I had Richard Reeves; he's a PhD on my show. He was working for the Deputy Prime Minister in the UK, and he's a senior fellow at the Brookings Institute, a serious academician. And he was saying because academics did not want to have the conversation about men falling behind, that's why Andrew Tate had that conversation, and that's why he became so popular so fast, because academics didn't even want to acknowledge that there could possibly be a problem where men were falling behind as far as relationships that were concerned, as far as jobs were concerned, as far as education was concerned. 5% of psychologists under the age of 30 are men. 5%. Do you understand what's going to happen to the entire field of psychology?
Well, yeah, in 2050, women will essentially take over.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are more female military pilots than there are male kindergarten teachers. Like, we have gotten to the point where there are certain institutions where men have completely fallen behind. While women have gotten into accounting, becoming doctors, and some of them getting into engineering, men did not become nurses. Men did not become kindergarten teachers. And so we are having this large group of men that are unwanted and somewhat feel unnecessary. And 68% of college graduates are female. 60% of people in college are female. And so because of that, you have a bunch of women who are trying to become the men that they wanted to marry, and they look at the men that they left behind, and there's nothing there for them. On Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge, 83% of right swipes go to 20% of men. 20% of men are getting 83% of the right swipes. That is incredibly imbalanced. That means 80% of men are competing for 17% of women. And then you wonder where all this anger and angst comes from. So if feminists can get out there, the new Barbie movie can come out, all this type of shit can happen. But like, you have to remember these men exist. And if you don't, that's when these massive problems happen. I'm not trying to criticize any of you. I'm just saying, in general, in society, we try to sweep these men under the rug and act like they don't exist because they don't have luck with women. And that's the reason why. Like, that's the problem, is because, and then when women complain about men, they're complaining about men who cheat, and to a bunch of men who are like, cheat? I've never had a girlfriend. How the am I going to cheat?
Wow, I did not know it was that bad. I mean, I've been out of the dating scene for a while. I do have clients that are dating, but let's just assume his numbers are true. It is looking pretty bleak out there, fellas.
I think that there's a fundamental misunderstanding and chasm between men and women. I think that, like, well, essentially the red pill movement was a response to, like, postmodern feminism, like,
Sure.
the fourth wave of feminism, in the same way that, like, postmodern feminism was a response to, like, how women felt like towards men. And
Sure.
I think men weren't expecting it. I think they were shocked. I think they were uncomfortable. I think that they couldn't, like, really understand the level of vitriol that women really have for men. But I think right now, like, the pendulum is swinging to, like, now we're talking about men, we're focusing on them. But I also see that there's, like, seeds of, like, disdain and hatred. Like you say, like, women, they, like, you're focusing on this point that, like, women cheat, right? Like, and, like, that's, like, their main thing. But
Wait, women cheat or men cheat? What are you talking about? I'm confused.
well, you were saying earlier that, like, what did you say about cheating just, like, a few minutes ago? You're talking about how
why men cheat?
Oh, was it?
He was
why men?
Yeah, it was
explaining-
about why man.
he's
It's
explaining
like,
why
it's
men
like from a socioeconomic standpoint, a man. Because I have some friends of mine. Even before I was, financially successful, I'd go hang out with them in their, their nice apartment in Miami,
Right.
and the number of women that were just hitting them up, I was like, Jesus fucking Christ! Like, how is this possible? Like, they had infinite options, and then my buddy who worked at CVS had no options, and there was no middle ground. Like, there
But what
was
is he doing?
Huh?
The man at CVS, is he going out? Is he making himself available? Like, it's not all about online. Like, it's kind of ridiculous to think that people only like date by going online. Like, I don't even have online dating apps. I meet people outside in real life. You know
A
what
lot
I'm
of
saying?
the time nowadays, a lot of women would just be completely turned off by a man that says that he works at CVS.
Right now, CVS is like, poor CVS. But of course, I agree with them. People who are financially very well off have an advantage in the dating marketplace over someone who works at CVS. But I can't help but think that these people's opinions are magnified by the culture that they're in. I know that they live in Miami, and perhaps in Miami, I've never been there, but I get the impression that things like finances and status are held in much higher regard than maybe in other places. So perhaps there's a cultural context here, but generally, I agree.
So even if
That's
he
not
would-
true though, bro. I see people that are mentally
for all.
challenged, not to like go on a loop with anything. Like, I see people that have serious like things going on, and they find happiness, and they find someone else. You know what I mean?
Exceptions not the rule, though.
I was gonna say, let her talk. Let her talk.
Wait,
She
did
talk
you
about
date
this.
someone who was?
You know what I'm saying?
special
No, but I've seen it. I physically, we've all been in school. We've all went to public school, private school, high school, whatever. You see a bunch of things. You see people make it. They make movies about certain people. Like anybody, there's
I wouldn't trust what you
8
see in
billion
movies.
people. There's someone out there for everybody. Like that's just point blank, period.
It's harder to find someone equal.
It's hard to find
standing.
somebody equal if you're just doing the same thing every day and you live the same repetitive life cycle and you're not doing anything different.
Why,
You know what I'm saying?
why are we to be equal? If men and women is different.
Yeah,
Yin and
it's-
yang.
No, it's
Yin
So
and yang.
the thing is, because there are so many ways to sedate men, and remember, if you're an attractive woman, the thing, you don't have to accomplish as much in order to be attractive to the opposite sex. Whereas a man, you do.
Just
And
different
if
things.
we live in a society now through things online, etc., those things will sedate men. And so that group of men that you said, what is he doing the same thing every day? Yes, he's doing the same everything every day because that's easier for him to do. Let me tell you something. Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out next year.
Yes.
That motherfucker is a $2 billion with a B, $2 billion budget for that video game. That thing is going to ruin my business and ruin my relationship. Okay, like there's so many ways as a man to sedate yourself, but we as men have this burden of achievement that we have to achieve certain things in order to be attractive to the opposite sex. And women, I'm not saying women don't achieve things. It's just that your ability to achieve things is not directly correlated to how attractive you are.
Once again, generally, I just agree with what they're saying. A man's value in the dating marketplace generally is tied to how much money he has and what he's accomplished. And the thing is, it's very competitive out there for men. It's not easy to amass a lot of money. It's difficult to start, maintain, and run a successful business or to climb the corporate ladder. But something he said makes me think that this guy isn't just pulling the victim card and that he does put some of the responsibility on men, which I like. And it's when he said that there's a lot of ways to sedate men. And to that, I think you have to say, well, if there's a lot of ways to sedate men, sure, those things are out there, but it's on men whether they're being sedated or not. They have to choose to put down the screen or to put down the video game. And I definitely agree with that.
Does it make sense?
I get what you're saying for sure.
Like we're saying, you can lay around.
Wait, you don't think women's attractiveness matters when it comes to men selecting? who
No,
they're dating?
he's saying that in terms of her like net worth value or income, it doesn't matter nearly as much as it does to men.
But there are other factors that men
There are
prioritize
other
in women
factors.
because like the outputs of like between men and women are not going to be the same. So we're going to value different things in each other, right? So
No,
like
of-
a woman would be attracted to success, whereas a man would be attracted to
Youth
let's
and
say
beauty.
whatever, like right.
Yeah,
Right.
Most people to be youthful and beautiful, you don't have to actually achieve anything. You,
No, I
a lot of
understand
the
that.
times, are born with that desirable
So just
trait.
consider a situation where you have a male and female and they're twins, and one of them is the male, and he just sits there and smokes marijuana, sits on a hacky sack and plays video games all day, and becomes like, he doesn't accomplish anything. And then you have his twin sister, who's stunningly beautiful, also smokes marijuana, plays video games. She has a dating advantage over him. He has the burden of achievement. He must achieve, he must accomplish he must become something in order for him to win. And the problem is, this is something Rollo and I talk about all the time, is that the world is so filled with sedation. I find myself going down these YouTube holes, and I have to like stop myself. Like, it's you could sit there and watch endless hours of footage. You can watch anything. It's not even brainwash. It's just, there's things that when I have to tell my girlfriend all the time, it's like, it's work time now. When I'm working, I just think about how hard I have to work to accomplish what I did. We're gonna have our first $600,000 month this month, okay? When I think about all the work I had to do that, and when I think about how hard it must be, like, well, other guys are not doing this. How the fuck are they going to be able to accomplish things when there's so many distractions? I come from a time where if I was distracted, my dad would go get a paddle and make me undistracted very quickly. It was a very different time, but it's the 1970s, 1980s. Right? And so because of the way things are now, you have these men who are very easily distracted. They're being told that they don't need to be masculine. They're being told that they don't need to have the ability to focus. And they're also being told that their ability to accomplish things is not that important. And that's just not true. If you're a man, you are not a special snowflake. If you're a man and you want to go the rest of your life and never get laid, it's very easy to do. You can just sit around. You will never get laid. It's not very difficult at all. If you're a man and you don't ever want to run a 7-figure business, it's very easy to do that. You can just sit around. It'll never happen for you. But that's the difference, right? So what you're saying before, as men, because they have the burden of performance, they're always going to be behind the 8 ball, and things get more and more distracting as new video games and new movies and new augmented reality and new pornography comes out. It becomes more and more difficult, or rather a larger and larger cohort of men get left behind.
Okay, I feel like I really like this guy. I feel like he's not, like I said, playing the victim or pulling the victim card. He's not emotional, he's not complaining, and he's not whining, he's not making excuses. I feel like he's just simply telling it how it is. But doth my ears deceive me? Did he mention the reason that I think that men are struggling today? Yes, he does. He talked about parenting and his own parenting, and maybe the lack of discipline and structure in the parenting these days. And he says that is one of the big reasons as to why we see the decline of men. And this is something that I agree with. Parenting, in my opinion, is the biggest factor when it comes to the outcome of an individual person. So yes, the lack of discipline can definitely explain what we see today.
Can I ask how you would say to fix that issue? So lazy people are going to be lazy. That's I'm a firm believer that a man can have all like the paddle and stuff and still be lazy. Do you think it's more so that men should just hold their expectations to, and this would play into the women as well, is they are to date equal? So the twins.
Men date equal. Men don't get to date equal most of the time.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Wouldn't that fix that?
And women
though?
don't. Women generally will date up.
If women started dating more equally, wouldn't that fix the issue?
Yeah, but you can't tell, like, it's evolutionary psychology. You
but
can't make women date equally. Women are going to, like, attraction's not a choice. Women are going to choose.
In some countries, attraction is a choice.
Well, yes. Well, some countries, marriage isn't a choice, but yeah, attraction generally not a choice. But I'm very much like with Richard Cooper on this. I'm just going to enjoy the decline. I do think men in 50 years will be fucking robots. And there'll be a small group of us who are still cowboys out there, going out there, knowing how to speak to women, knowing how to, like, when there's a fire, we're the ones still pulling people out of the burning house. We're still the ones who are willing to pull you out of the car after a car wreck. We're still those guys who are willing to do that. But I think we're going to see fewer and fewer of those men in the future.
All right, so what's the solution? Well, it's nothing.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
That is pretty bleak, but up until this point, generally we've been talking about sociology, great trends in the culture and what's happening in society, and we haven't really been touching on the psychology. He does a little bit, but mostly it's about the greater trends. I don't know a solution to the greater trend, the sociological problem. But you know what? If we're talking psychology, I'm your guy. And there are definite things that the individual can do to greatly improve his life. And there's no one-size-fits-all thing that I can say to address everybody, But generally, if you're asking me, I would say don't be a victim. Take personal empowerment. Love yourself. Have a goal that you deem worthy of because you love yourself, and make very good decisions every day. Be disciplined to get toward that goal. And if you do that, I think that's a great starting off place to be able to change your prospects when it comes to dating and the world. And if everybody did that, I think that we could start moving the needle. So I would say it's in your hands. Anyways, that's my reaction, guys. If you have anything you want me to react to, leave it in the comments down there. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.